We're going to show you how to protest safely.
Would you like a little Mayo with that app cap?
Before we round things out with a way not to bother your roommates.
It's time for iOS
Today.
iOS Today comes to you from TWiT's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether they're working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is TWiT.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest, one night at a time. Get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/iOS Today and using the promo code iOS Today at checkout. Hard to be upbeat, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's doubly hard for you as an African American.
Yesterday was very difficult. Doing Smart Tech Today.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because it's like this whole week has been no fun.
Every day. No. No sleep.
Are you doing oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you if you're all right. So you're not sleeping too well, huh?
No, that's been the biggest struggle for me now is trying to get sleep at all because I just keep waking up in panic over and over again. In fact, so much so that I actually had to reach out to my therapist and say, okay, we got to talk about this because I need something to help me actually get some sleep.
Is it bad dreams or just generalized anxiety?
So I'm not that I remember. I'm not having nightmares or anything like that. It's something causes me to wake up and then that's whenever the fear sets in. And it's just generalized anxiety.
How has your life been? Have you had a difficulty in life? Have you been targeted because of your skin color?
So here's the interesting thing is that, it took me a while as a kid. It took me a while to realize all of the ways that was happening to me. And part of that is because I grew up with my mom and my grandma and my grandpa, because my mom had me when she was very young. So my mom, my grandma, my grandpa kind of raised me for a good period of time. And so I grew up with the white side of my family. I'm Black, African American, and white Caucasian American, and the problem is there's an extra bit of complication that involves that happens whenever you're mixed race. Where often you are othered on both sides. I wasn't black enough, I wasn't white enough, but for the most part. For the most part, I didn't realize it until I can remember there was a time where I had started to have feelings for this young woman, and this young woman started to have feelings for me, and we were kind of talking about pursuing some sort of relationship, and then she literally said to me, "I really wish that we could be together, but my parents won't let me bring home a black guy or whatever." I don't know if she said black guy or whatever. And it was in that moment that I kind of went, "Oh, right, I'm black."
Wow.
And then I kind of had you have that moment too where you look back at all these different situations where I can remember a teacher asking me if I could have chosen, would I choose for both of my parents to be white instead of one to be black and one to be white. I remember a teacher who...
That's bizarre.
That's super bizarre.
That's just a bizarre thing to ask a kid.
Yeah, a kid, exactly.
What the hell? I wouldn't ask you that today. That's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. There were just many of those situations. And then,
she
they
probably
talk about
thought she was being very sensitive to you.
Who knows? And they talk about Black excellence and how it is so important for Black folks to be at their best at all times, because you look for a way to try, and you can't show signs of weakness. You can't let there be any breaks in your armor or anything like that. Yeah, you have to be perfect.
Pressure. Jeez.
And yeah, so there's been a lot. But I guess I would say that above everything, I feel lucky, I guess, that I have not had to deal with such physical aspects of police brutality and things like that.
You know, we talk to Dr. Owen Stone all the time on our shows. We love the guy. And not a week goes by that he doesn't get pulled over because he has a nice car. And the police, and he drives through a nice neighborhood. He lives in a nice neighborhood. The police assume, oh, you stole that car. You don't live here. So he gets pulled over every week for driving while black. And it just breaks my heart. What breaks my heart even worse is he has to explain to his daughter, and he does, he has to say, you can't trust the police. If you have a problem, find another black adult. Things like that. And it's just horrific. It's so sad. We got to do better in this country. We really do. And I think we can.
Yeah.
I think we can. I know we can. But we all have to get involved. So this week we're kind of talking about that a little bit. We're talking about how to get involved.
Yeah. So we thought that we would talk about some of the apps and services and ways that you can, get involved and then also keep yourself safe out there.
While exercising your First Amendment right to protest.
Yes.
It is legal. It is your right. And some might say it's our duty to step up and say this isn't okay.
Yeah.
So first let's talk about what you should do to your phone before you go out into a protest. Number one, you want to bring it with you. It's really important, and you want it fully charged.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things that I was going to say. So I've seen some reports out there, some different messages out there about the things you should bring and the things that you shouldn't bring. And there have been some people who've said, maybe leave your device at home for the sake of keeping your identity and your personal information safe. But I feel hesitant to suggest that. I think that it's incredibly important to have your device, not only because it does have information there that you might need at a given time, but also as we are going to talk about, it's a way to report and to collect information and evidence and things like that.
Boy, it's really that's one lesson that we have learned, and not just with the horrific murder of George Floyd, which was, of course, caught on smartphones from several different angles. But also since then, that the smartphone video we've seen has, I think, become so important to the testimony about what's going on. It's so valuable.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah.
And I think that it can also help you, it can potentially help you feel safer when you are in a situation that is, when you might feel like you're alone and you want a way to not feel as alone.
And I would hope it encourages better behavior on all sides.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
I could be recorded misbehaving. I could be recording, beating in some protesters' head or looting a store. I could be recorded doing that. And that maybe encourages some better behavior.
Yeah. And you just mentioned there, I had a friend who was at some of the protests in Washington, and she said, "Oh, my battery's about to die. I gotta get off of here, folks." And
charge it.
If you charge your devices before you go, but B, if you have mobile chargers,
bring it. Yeah,
bring it, and hey, bring some extra cords with you.
Yeah,
I've got some mobile chargers that have multiple ports, and so you can share that battery power with others.
Because we know the youngs never charge their batteries.
They never charge their phones. I look at them and I say, "What are you doing? Charge your device. Why is it at 2%?"
Is it an old person thing? And you're an old person in a young man's body, I got to point out. But I plug in my phone every night when I go to bed.
Every night.
It's just what I do. My watch, my phone.
And frankly, at other times too, I come
Whenever
back
you get
and
a chance.
yes. But you see those screenshots all over the web, and it's like 1%. And another thing young people do, they always have low power mode turned on their devices.
That's because they're always out of juice. So the first thing, and everybody should do this now anyway, on your iPhone, go to Apple's Health app. And by the way, there's a similar feature on Android phones. All phones have this. And enter in your medical ID information. If something should happen to you, if you're incapacitated or unconscious, first responders know to look for the phone and to then look through the phone. It's very easy, even without unlocking it. That's the one thing on iPhones and Android phones they can pull up. I've talked to first responders. One of the things they say is, you could put in, and I have blood type and allergies and all of that stuff. But the number one thing they're looking for is a contact number. Mm-hmm. So make sure you have a contact number in your phone so that they can get to somebody if something happens to you. That's really important. So go to Health. It's actually, I think Apple's done this on purpose, right on the front page of Health. At least on mine, in the summary, it says medical ID, emergency access to medical ID, and then you could review it. You can go into it, and I'm not going to show you my data because it has phone numbers and a lot of private stuff in there. But you should. This is where you put that private stuff. This is where you put
medical allergies, blood type,
medications you're on, all of those things. You need it. This is really important. First responders really, really want this information. So I could show a little bit of it. What I also did with my photo? I put my wife in there.
Oh, nice.
Just from a psychological point of view, to know that there's somebody who loves me and cares about me might just be one extra little thing to get a first responder to respond. So blood type, weight, height, spouse, other emergency contact, medical notes, put that all in. But the most important thing I would emphasize, if you don't put anything else in, the most important thing is a contact number.
Yes. And when you do use emergency SOS to call emergency services, the folks you've listed in your emergency contacts will be notified and sent your current location. So you putting in those emergency contacts is not just for the paramedic to know who your emergency contacts are. Apple, the device is going to automatically notify those folks for you so that they are aware of where you are and, have more information about what has happened. So it's really good that you put in that information with your medical ID because it adds those extra features.
As you can see, and even during an emergency call to not all 911 centers are equipped to this capability, but many are. The dispatcher can actually get that information as well. Mm-hmm. So, boy, I think that is really, really important. And make sure you share it on the lock screen.
And that's a relatively new feature. The share during emergency call feature is rather new.
Yeah. I'm really happy that Apple's done such a good job with this. I feel like this is exactly the right thing. So even if you're not going to a protest, if you're going out of the house, put that information in. That should be on your phone, because I tell you what, I've talked to many first responders. First thing they look for, if you're unresponsive, they'll be giving you CPR or whatever they need to do, but they'll also their partner will grab the phone and be looking for that information, so that they can call your next of kin or your loved ones and say, anything we should know. We're going to take him to this hospital. You want that?
Yep, absolutely. Now, along with that comes this is still an ongoing conversation, but it's better to just be on the safe side if you can. Some folks suggest completely disabling Face ID and Touch ID on your devices before you attend a protest or something like that. That is because there's sort of mixed understanding, it seems, and overall ruling about whether you can be compelled to put your fingerprint onto the device or show your face to the device.
There's no overarching court ruling. That's the problem.
There you go. That's the perfect. Yeah, that's
so different jurisdictions have different interpretations. It's the same one we were talking about the other day, where they, a judge in Washington State said that it's an unlawful search for the FBI to look at your lock screen. Okay, for the police to do that for some reason, but the FBI can't. So this is the law is not clear, but I know where you're going with this.
Yes. So if that's the case, then it may be better to disable Face ID or Touch ID and just use a passcode or a long password.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, there are ways to disable Face ID or Touch ID quickly whenever you are using your device. And if your phone is locked,
I'll lock it. Okay.
Yeah. Then you can press the side button and it used to be all three buttons.
I think it's now just volume up, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Volume up and the side button. There you go. Will trigger medical ID, emergency SOS, and slide to power off. Now, once those three have been triggered, then hitting cancel will actually show that your device is now locked and that your fingerprint won't work. You will need to type in the passcode.
Yep.
So volume up and the side button on any device will cause it to go to that emergency SOS mode. And then even if they cancel from that emergency SOS mode, it will still now require you to type in your password entirely. And you cannot be compelled to type in your passcode. That's something that you should.
I think older iPhones may not do this, so check, to see if it does. Apple has a tech support article that will let you know. But you see, no matter what, and by the way, your phone does not have to. Let me hide my passcode. But even your phone does not even have to be locked. So you can be walking around. And suddenly realize, I don't want my phone to be confiscated. I don't want people to get into my phone. Just press and hold that, and that's all you have to do. It took 3 seconds, and you don't have to slide it power off or anything. It's now going to require the passcode to get into. You also should set the default now is a 6-digit passcode. That's sufficient. But if you have an older phone with a 4-digit passcode, you can go into the settings and make it require a real long, strong passphrase. I have mixed feelings about that. I used to do that, but that was such a pain in the butt to unlock my phone. And then I finally just went back. I think 6 digits is sufficient.
Yeah, well, and there's a certain number with that, how long it would take. So if you would like to, however, disable Touch ID or Face ID, you simply launch the Settings app, and then you go into, on my phone, it's Face ID and passcode. On your phone, it would be on a phone with a Touch ID, it would be Touch ID and passcode.
Right.
And then you choose that. You type in your passcode, which let me switch back so I can do that. And then once you've typed in your passcode, you can leave Face ID turned on for certain things, but just turn off Face ID for iPhone unlock. So toggling that off would make it so that everything else is still going to remain the same.
That's nice.
But for the time being, iPhone unlock is only available by typing in your passcode.
Way to do it, I think. And then F and Done reminds me that 5 taps on the on-off switch will call emergency services. So,
on the side button.
On the side button, yeah. I don't know what to call that button. It's really a turn off the screen button. But
yeah, iPhone calls it the side. Whoops, iOS calls it the side button.
Okay, but there's side buttons on both sides. So this one, I'm not going to do it. But
now that is a toggle too. People need to know. I want to show this, but it's got my emergency contact information. Leo, you could do it.
Yeah.
If you hop into the Settings app.
Yeah.
And then scroll down to emergency SOS. Oh, you've got it there. Tap on that, and then call with side button. See, you currently have that turned off.
That's why I didn't do anything.
Yeah. So if you toggle that on,
then
rapidly pressing the side button will use it.
Yeah, I actually did that because I felt like I might accidentally do it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, right? Yes.
So, and then the auto call and all of that. I'm not sure I really want to do that. So, yeah. But you know what? Even if you got it off now, turn it on if you're going out in a dangerous situation. Android just added a really nice feature on the Pixel phones where you can say, "I'm going for a walk. If I don't get back in an hour, call my contacts and say he's not reported in." I think that's so clever. Apple doesn't do anything yet, but I suspect now that Google's doing it in Android, Apple will probably add it to iOS.
Yeah, I think
and there are third-party
Matthew,
apps that will do it too.
Exactly. I think Matthew Casanelli's already working on a shortcut
Nice.
that will provide that same functionality.
Very good idea. That's great.
So yeah, that's a good way to lock down your devices quickly. If you've got that, tap that 5 times or hit the top button, the volume up button and the side button at the same time. Each of those will disable the biometrics.
And of course, don't forget that emergency number 0118-999-881-999-179-725-3.
Oh.
You don't know that number? Do you know that number?
No, what is that?
It's from a great British show called The IT Crowd. They even have a promo. It's the funniest promo ever.
I figured it was a joke, but I thought you were just vamping there.
I'd play it, but they'd take us down probably. So I'm just going to leave it to the viewer as an exercise. Just search for IT Crowd Emergency Services and you'll find it.
Let's talk about the ACLU, of course, is an organization that is sort of constantly trying to help with issues of police brutality and all sorts of inequality issues, frankly.
That's why I donate to them every darn month. I think they're doing really important work. They used to have an app called Code Blue or something, but they've got a new one now. They've replaced it.
It's called Mobile Justice, and what's interesting is that it's a regional app. So there's an ACLU website that will include in the show notes, and going to that page will let you go in and you find your state, and then you download the version of the Mobile Justice app.
I have the California one here. And so the idea of this is that And the reason, this is why it's regional, by the way. It uploads your video to servers run by your local ACLU. So here it's saying choose the closest affiliate, Southern California, Northern California, or San Diego and Imperial County. So it's actually choosing where it will upload to. And this is to report an incident or if you're witnessing incidents. Have you ever used this?
No, I've never used this.
Yeah. So I love it that they encourage you to do it sideways. So then you're recording, and then you click to stop, and the test is successful. And so this uploads it immediately to the ACLU in your region. So I think that's kind of cool. This would be if you were witnessing, an incident to the ACLU. They will even go through a questionnaire, location, personal involved, the officers, if that information is available, other information. Or if you're witnessing a nearby incident, you can also do this. It also has alerts that will alert you if something's going on in your area. Another reason why you might want to use the local one. Yeah, I think this is a really nice idea from the ACLU, and something probably you should put on your phone. You never know, right?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, just to have this, and like you said, there's an option that lets you broadcast your location, so you can alert others where you are when it's triggered within the app. So along with recording, and they make it's immediate. Once you hit that record button, it starts to record, and then you kind of can stop it afterward. I did a test earlier just to see how this worked, and then you can witness nearby incidents so that you say, hey, I actually was in this area. I am a witness of these incidents that took place nearby. So it kind of, from a legal standpoint, tries to fill in some of those blanks to make sure that you can be that witness or do that, provide that data if it is ever needed. I think it's akin to contact tracing in the sense that it uses that information to sort of try to bring together an overall picture of something. And I kind of like that idea that multiple people using this app together provide for a better bit of information than just a single person.
We saw that with the George Floyd incident because there was the initial camera angle where you could see Officer Chauvin with his knee on Floyd's neck, but you couldn't really see what the other officers were doing. The second angle showed you what all 4 officers were doing. And it's those multiple angles that make it more and more difficult to defend, right? It gives you more information. So I think this is a extremely useful tool in helping find justice. And it's completely legal for you to do this.
Yes.
It is sometimes the case that you'll be asked to stop recording, or you'll be instructed to stop recording, or they'll even take your phone from you. But that is illegal on their part, and let's hope there's other people making a film of that. And, so many recent incidents, the incidents of Amy Cooper harassing the African-American bird watcher in Central Park, he videoed it. And it's because of that we know exactly what happened. We know that he was peaceful, calm, appropriate, and that she was out of control and inappropriate. And it's such a valuable tool because you can say what happened, but video tells all. And, we've talked a lot about the negatives. It's very hard, I think, these days growing up, being a high school student, because everything you do, it can be shared on social media.
Yeah, there's no getting away from it.
There's some real negatives about that. But in this case, I think it's a real positive. And I know there are people who don't like that idea, but the camera doesn't lie.
Amen. Up next, now, Leo, this is one that you included, and this one's been around for a little while. It's called 5 Calls, and it's a way to contact your representatives that lets you. So it's great because you put in your information. It lets you find your representatives automatically, so you don't have to do the thinking there. It will then show you topics that you might be passionate about that you want to call about, and provide scripts. And then gives you one tap to dial your representatives. So what are some of the ones that are in there right now?
They update this all the time, so it's very topical right now. Support the House resolution to condemn police brutality. This is from Elon Omar and Ayanna Pressley and Karen Bass and Barbara Lee. Demand reform on police use of force. Stop the militarization of local police. And then there's other things. Demand Congress provide $4 billion in election assistance funding. Use Congress to pass additional coronavirus relief measures. It tends to be somewhat liberal, quite a bit liberal. But the nice thing is making a phone call to your member of Congress is immensely powerful, and it's very easy to do. You can make those 5 calls in 5 minutes. They record them. You won't, in most cases, you're certainly not going to be talking to the member of Congress unless you're extremely lucky. In most cases, you're either talking to a recording or you're talking to a staffer, and they'll just listen. They'll jot down your opinion, but those calls make a big difference. 500 calls to a member of Congress about an issue, to them translates directly to many, many more than 500 votes. So they pay attention to those because most people don't call. So the best way to make a difference is to, this is a simple app. Everybody can do it. If, look, we've got to take action on multiple fronts. There's no one solution, but certainly we've got to talk to our members of Congress, our elected officials, and get them to act as much as anything else. So, in fact, President Obama's Medium post yesterday was so beautiful because he talked about that. You gotta act on all fronts. We need to work on all fronts. We need to work together to solve this problem. So this 5 Calls is such a great tool, and you'll see there's quite a bit. There's consumer protection, criminal justice, digital rights, environment, foreign affairs. Support the Saudi Arabia Accountability and Yemen Act. So you pick the issue you care about. You enter in your location. That way they know which member of Congress to call. And it couldn't be easier. It even dials the number for you. So it's really good. I think they've done a beautiful job with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 5 calls, free, and you should have it on your phone and take advantage of it.
I want to share the shortcut that Matt, by the way, I'm really proud of Smart Tech Today yesterday. Matthew and I had kind of talked about the difficulty of recording an episode with everything going on. But we did an episode and kind of ended it with some suggestions for places you can donate and things like that. And because it's a show about smart tech, we talk about different smart integrations and in this case, smart automations. And so Matthew shared the shortcut that he created that Lifehacker has published in its article about the shortcut you need should you be detained by the police.
Nice.
And it's a very simple one. So I've got it here on the iPad. And what happens is it will ask you for contacts. And then it will send those contacts the message, I'm getting arrested. I will send a recording after. Of course, you can adjust that however you'd like. I'm getting pulled over. I'll send a recording after. It sends that message to whichever contacts you've chosen and then starts to take video with the back camera, saves that video to the recents folder. And then once it's been saved, it will send it to the contact. So when I click to add this shortcut, I can choose which contact I want to send that to. And then upon pressing it, it will execute all of those steps and send that to the right person. So simple shortcut, but one that does help you if you are detained or if you are concerned to automatically record video and sort of fill in the blanks there to help you out.
This is one I also showed many moons ago. Probably yet another incident. I'm not sure which one. There have been so many. This was shared on Reddit by Robert A. Peterson. And same idea. A few more, little features. For instance, if it's on your phone, it'll stop the music. It'll turn on Do Not Disturb. It'll darken your screen, sets brightness to 0.
I like that.
Yeah, isn't that smart? So no one knows what you're doing. Sets the current location. And again, you can change this. It says, I'm getting pulled over, my current location. You send it to your contact. Take video. Save the video to recent. Set the brightness to 60. This is after the incident. And then it will upload it to wherever you want. iCloud, Dropbox, your blog. And then it turns Do Not Disturb off. So this is a similar idea with a few extra features. I'm sure Matthew could add easily enough, but I think this may not be the first thing I would use. I think in some ways you want to be visibly recording, don't you?
Yeah, this to me, I've actually used the I'm getting pulled over that one before, and it was So it's interesting. I've never been in a car accident, knock on wood, or pulled over by police, but I finally had that happen right before I moved to California due to the fact that I didn't realize it, but the tags had expired on my car because I don't ever drive because I worked from home at the time.
Right.
Anyway, so I was driving between St. Louis back to Missouri or back to St. Joseph, and I was getting pulled over, and immediately my anxiety set in. I was nervous and anxious and trying to play it cool. And so I just sat there and I, used this, and using that made me feel better. I felt safer, and I had to get my wallet from my bag. So I was very, I'm getting into this bag because my wallet is in here. Yeah. That is why I'm reaching into this bag, as I'm telling the police officer.
Yeah, be very clear. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Doing all the things that were necessary. And again, blessedly, he was a very nice guy. It didn't change the fact that I was incredibly nervous the whole time because he was a white police officer. And
I can only imagine how scary it is for you. Yeah. It's scary for me. And I'm not a threat. I'm not a threat, but nor are you, to be honest. But I'm not perceived as a threat, and it's terrifying. But I know I have the privilege of not having to worry so much because I'm an old white man.
So it was just nice to have that for sure. To just feel safer.
It's a good thing to remember. Look, we're all people. It's a good thing to remember the police officer is also in a scary situation, one they deal with every day, but it is potentially dangerous. And so it's not merely to keep yourself from getting shot, but it's to reassure them. I always put my hands on the wheel, and you did the right thing by saying, I'm going to go to my bag now, if I may, to get my wallet, just to reassure them. They're in a hairy situation, too. They don't know who they've pulled over or
Right.
what could happen.
Exactly.
And so we're all humans. We're all in this together. So I think it's important to be considerate to the police officers, too, as long as they're being considerate to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, if you can de-escalate a situation, that's always preferable to escalating it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's that on that. And then the last piece here, this is a Gizmodo article, and it's called "How to Cop-Proof Your Phone Before Heading to a Protest."
I sent you this article last night. I was reading it. I thought Gizmodo's really gotten they've gotten very aggressive about this stuff, which I love.
Yeah, and essentially it is a lot of the stuff that we talked about. It's a nice place to have all of that information in one easy to see place. And it talks about how to force enable those different types of lockdown, and then using airplane mode so that your phone doesn't ping the the cellular towers nearby and things like that.
I'm not sure I agree with
that.
I think you want location mode turned on, but I understand why you might be concerned. So,
and even talks about using guided access to what we talked about was last week, a way to essentially pin an app. It talks about using that pinned app
before you hand over the phone. Officer says, "Well, I'd like to see." I don't know what he would want to see on your phone, but if you've decided to give it to him, you unlock it, but you pin that app so he can't go anywhere else in your phone. Now, let's be honest. With a search warrant or with probable cause, they can take your phone, and we now know the FBI has all sorts of ways to get into locked phones and so forth. This isn't going to prevent that. And if you're really concerned about what's on your phone, maybe you want to sanitize it before you go into action, so to speak.
Yes.
Because even before you cross a border, not that we're doing that anymore, but the next time you travel, might be a good idea to have a cleared off phone. So there's nothing on there. One other thing, I was talking to Baratunde on TWiT on Sunday, and I love Baratunde Thurston. He's a smart, eloquent, and very wise fellow. And one of the things he talked about, and frankly, I've seen in other places, there's a great article on Medium, 75 things we can do to support our African-American brothers and sisters. 75, because I think a lot of us are paralyzed. How can we help? I know it's something Lisa and I talk about all the time. What can we do? How can we help? And one of the things they mention, both Baratunde mentions and the 75 Things mentions, is support black businesses, black-owned businesses, because that's one way you can really lend a hand. I'm going to show you an app. It's a little bit of a disappointing app here in Petaluma, but it's a great app anyway. It's called Eat Okra, and okra being a staple of Southern cuisine. And what Eat Okra does is it finds local black-owned restaurants, which I love. Now, there is a negative to this. You have to sign up, which I'm not crazy about. I know. I don't really like that. I'm not sure why they do that. Actually, I've already signed up on my iPad, so I'll just show you. But you can then go and look for a variety of local eats in your area. Now, you may want to broaden your area if you live in Petaluma, because as it turns out, and in a way, this is also something of value to learn, there are no black-owned restaurants. There are in Petaluma. There are none of this. Now, if I change my location, let's say to San Francisco, or I guess I'm now in Brooklyn, there's a lot more. Well, I think there are a lot more. Let's maybe I don't. Maybe I'm not doing something right. Maybe it doesn't know I'm in Brooklyn. But Brooklyn, New York. I'm in Brooklyn now. Caribbean cuisine, African cuisine, soul food, local eats, vegan, vegetarian friendly, and breakfast and brunch. I think this is kind of cool. You can, by the way, if you know of a black-owned business that is a restaurant that's in your area, you can add or recommend a business. So that's a good thing. So I just thought this was a clever idea. That's why I don't have location turned on. So you need to have location turned on to use this. What a clever idea, though. Eat okra. In the 75 things you can do, there's a list of a number of online sites that you can use to find, for instance, black-owned banks. Do your banking with black-owned banks, things like that. And I think that's another way to show support and allyship, although I know allyship is a controversial subject, but I like the idea. So
yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Eat okra, and hey, even if it's not in your area, consider if they've got a place to buy a gift card online or something like that.
Perfect.
That
they do suggest
you could
that.
Basically donate food to others that are in the area.
Yeah. It may also be because during COVID, a lot of these restaurants aren't offering takeout. There may also be difficult to find them, but that's another way to do it is buy a gift certificate. And by the way, I just want to say, fried okra is delicious.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Delicious. A lot of people think okra is kind of slimy. If it's prepared well.
If it's prepared properly, yeah. There's a place in Missouri. It's called Lambert's, the home of throwed rolls.
I'm going. I know about Lambert's.
You do?
They're famous. They're
How
famous
do you know about
because they throw the rolls.
Yes, they do. They have amazing okra at Lambert's.
Oh, that's good to know.
The home of throwed rolls.
Is that in St. Joe?
No, it's actually in southern Missouri.
Okay.
Near Springfield.
They're quite famous because they throw the bread at you.
Yeah, you say, hey, and then they throw a really hot roll, and if you don't catch it, it burns your skin, and it's a great experience. No, seriously, though, you get these huge plates of food, and then the whole time they're also bringing around food too. It's a ridiculous.
It's my kind of restaurant. I love it. So you've been there.
Yeah, and we waited in line all day, but I've been there. It was good fun. And oh man, they have this hot molasses that you put all over the throwed rolls. Of course, I can't eat the throwed rolls these days, but back then I did not have gluten intolerance.
They probably don't have gluten-free throwed rolls.
Throwed rolls, no. And I'm sure that the breading on the fried okra is probably not edible for me either.
Yeah, come to think of it. I think this is just great. Go to Lambert's, get some okra. And it's on my bucket list. It has been for some time. I never thought I'd meet somebody who's been there.
Michael from Kentucky just messaged me on Twitter sent a tweet on Twitter. It says, I love Lambert's. I've been to the one in Missouri. For you, Michael. Yeah, you got to go at some point.
Throwed rolls, baby.
Throwed rolls. Hit me up.
All right. There we go.
Time for a nap.
Yeah. See, you know what I like about this? If you feel anxious, you feel helpless, you feel depressed, there are things you can do, and some of these apps like 5 Calls make you feel better immediately.
They do.
If it's the helplessness that's the worst. The feeling I can't, I'm helpless is the worst. So
making some donations has been one of my favorite things to do, to just go through and put some money here, put some money here, put some money here. Feels good.
Over time, I've set up monthly donations because I think for a charity, knowing you're going to get an amount of money every month is helpful because it lets you plan. So every time I think, I really should support this cause, I'll add one more to the list, and it makes me feel good, and you get a thank you every month, which is even better. As I mentioned, ACLU is one, Wikipedia is one, EFF is one. And then I won't mention too many others because I'm going to get more controversial with some of our listeners. But I think you can imagine, what a lefty I am. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, and then we have questions, we have news, and our world-famous Throwed app caps. That's what we need to do, something like that. Something clever like that.
Throw that app cap at me.
Throwed app caps. Our show today brought to you by, I know you love this one. Even Casper can't help poor Mikah's sleep. Man, that's when you know you're anxious, when you're staying awake.
Exactly.
And even your cat. I love the feeling. Got the Casper sheets on the Casper mattress. It's actually really become the highlight of my day, which maybe tells you something about my life. When I slide in under those cool sheets in that Casper mattress, I literally, and I think it drives Lisa crazy, I go, every time. Every time. Are you all right? Yes, I just feel good. Casper. That's their new slogan. The mattress that makes you go, Casper is an online retailer of mattresses. They sell them direct to you. They eliminate the middleman, and that saves you a huge amount of money. And they obsessively engineer their mattresses, which makes them a bull. They're cleverly designed to mimic the human curve. They give you, it's kind of neat because I go back and forth between a soft mattress and a firm mattress my whole life. And then I, the mattress, it's too hard. Now that's too soft. Casper it's supportive, but it also fits your curves. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I don't know how they do it. Look, you spend so much of your life, a third of your life sleeping, right? 8 hours a day if you're lucky, maybe more if you're even luckier. It started with the original Casper mattress. 8 hours is not enough, right?
No.
You want 10, don't you?
I want 12 sometimes.
Yeah. If things get really rough, 12 is not bad. The original, and you know what, with your Casper?
Oh my goodness. I could and maybe have stayed on that mattress all day.
Yeah, all day. All day.
Bring the food to me.
Actually came in yesterday because Lisa took the day off. And she was surrounded by pillows. She had her iPad. She had her laptop. I said, "How long have you been here?" She said, "A while."
I don't blame you, Lisa.
Yeah, you'll love it. It's the original Casper. We got that one first. It combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with just the right amount of both sink and bounce. And that breathable design, and this is really important, helps you sleep cool and regulates your body temperature throughout the night. You can, if you read the reviews, there's 20,000 reviews on Casper's site, on Amazon, on Google. 4.8 stars. I don't think you can get any better than that. It's quickly becoming an internet's favorite mattress. Now that was the original. Now they also now have the Wave, the Essential, and the Hybrid. We have a hybrid right now. The Wave features a patent-pending premium support system to mirror the natural shape of your body. Again, right? You want that. The Essential, streamlined design at a price that won't keep you up at night. I like it for the kids, for the guest room. That's what Henry got when he went to college, that kind of thing. The Hybrid, the one we have now, I love this because it combines the pressure relief of the award-winning foam, but durable and gentle springs. And the springs do a couple of things. They keep the airflow going, but they also, and they don't mention this in the ad, but I'm going to throw this in. I hope you don't mind, Casper. But I'm a man of a certain size, if you know what I mean. And some mattresses, the edge is soft and you get up out of bed and you kind of fall out of bed. I don't want to fall out of bed every morning. The Hybrid has a firm edge, better support. I can actually sit up and get out of bed. I like that. But that's the beauty part. Casper has a mattress for every need, every want, every desire. You're sure of a good night's sleep, too, because if you happen to get a Casper you don't like, anytime in the first 100 nights, they'll just come and get it, refund you every penny. Casper offers free shipping and painless returns in the U.S. and in Canada, so get a Casper mattress today. In fact, right now is a good time. You could save $100 towards select mattresses. Go to casper.com/iOS today and use the code iOS today at checkout. You'll save big just by going to Casper, and now another $100 off. Casper.com/iOS today. And don't forget our offer code iOS today at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. We love you, Casper. Thank you for supporting iOS today, and thank you for supporting iOS today, dear listener, dear viewer, by using that special iOS today. You know, a lot of our listeners use TWiT, which is fine, as the offer code.
Right.
The problem is when you do that, then the advertiser says, well, nothing worked but TWiT. So if you like iOS today,
please use
that one. Not all of our advertisers have, dedicated codes, but when they do, it's a really nice way you can show support for the show. Now on we go. Mikah Sargent.
With the show.
With the news.
Yeah. So up first, you may start to see this today. They're calling it Blackout Tuesday. And essentially it is a campaign wherein you post a black square on your profile, on your social media across the web,
a lot of those.
to stand in solidarity. Yeah, I have to tell you, there's third rolls.
I'm sorry. I can't. They're throwing the rolls. I can't. Oh my God.
And you notice, see, they've got gloves on, and part of it is of course sanitary, but also it's because it's hot.
So when I go to Lambert's, I'm wearing oven mitts.
You got to wear oven mitts. That's how you get the fresh hot rolls the right way.
You might even steal a roll from somebody else.
Yeah, just snatch it out of the air. I actually was brought to tears in a really positive way this morning as I scrolled through Instagram, and nearly every photo was a black square.
Okay, I'm actually meaning to ask you and Ant, because you and Ant, I'm sorry, are African-American experts at TWiT. So you like that? You think that that's a nice thing to do? Because I feel like sometimes what happens on social media is this token show of support in lieu of real support. It's
performative support.
Performative is the word. I did that. Yeah. See, I'm an ally. I did it. So that's why I was hesitant to do it.
So it's multiple things here, Leo, to consider. One is that folks who know you and know your heart, know that you have probably already stepped up and made donations, and know that you aren't just ending things at a simple square. And when it comes to, so that's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider is that, and this is something that's been going around this time that I really like, and I hope that people keep in mind. There's a certain fear that exists right now among non-Black folks that offering some sort of support, be it messages or calling things out, may be doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And
we're kind of frozen. I have to admit, it's
ultimately that comes down to a matter of pride. It comes down to a matter of, I don't want to do the wrong thing and have myself be hurt for accidentally doing the wrong thing. And I understand, because there's a lot of sort of call out culture that exists that can be a negative aspect of this. However, I've seen a few folks, Matthew Castanelli was one of them, who put out the police shortcut, and it included some stuff that folks kind of came to him and said, hey, this part of it is maybe not a good idea. What did he do? He owned up to it, and he redid the shortcut, and people celebrated that. And I think right now it is so much more important to stand up and speak out than it is to let your pride and fear of doing the wrong thing, of saying the wrong thing, get in the way. To do nothing at all versus doing something and having to admit that, maybe there was an aspect of it that was wrong. It's better to do the something than to do the nothing. And for me this morning, this is a multiple day thing. We've had throughout the week people donating and doing all these things. This today is a very specific thing called Blackout Tuesday, where me seeing that showed me and reminded me that there are many people out there who do care about what's going on.
So you felt
do have my
supported
back.
by that. Yeah.
I felt supported, and I felt like I could look around and say, wow, even though it feels like I have so many people against me, at least I can count on these people. And in this moment, I was moved. I was moved by it. The one thing to keep in mind, folks, that choose to share this Blackout Tuesday, be part of the Blackout Tuesday campaign, please do not use the hashtag Black Lives Matter when you do so. And that is because a lot of folks are using the Black Lives Matter hashtag right now to share necessary information on where you can donate, B, where different protests are taking place and things like that. And so they're actually getting drowned out because of these pure black squares.
See, this is the minefield that us unwoke white folk don't really understand, but that's a really important point. There is a hashtag for Blackout Tuesday you can use, but don't use BLM or Black Lives Matter, because that needs to be kept separate for important information that's being shared right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the
good to
extent
know.
of it. So with all of that in mind, Apple Music, it's actually the entire music industry, but as an Apple show, we're talking about this aspect of it. Apple Music is doing a Blackout Tuesday campaign that includes, instead of doing Beats One Radio, they're not doing that, and are saying, hey, go to a single streaming station that has the best in Black music. So instead of all the different Beats One Radio shows that are playing, those are not happening today. You can go and they call it Listen Together, and listen to excellent Black music. And then on top of that, throughout the page, if you sort of browse through Apple Music, you'll see different campaigns. Let me see if I can pull it up here, including some messaging. Here we go. Yeah, so let me pull this up. In steadfast support of the Black voices that define music, creativity, and culture, we use ours. This moment calls upon us all to speak and act against racism and injustice of all kinds. We stand in solidarity with Black communities everywhere. The show must be paused. Black Lives Matter. I can't tell you how incredible it has been to see people just saying plainly Black Lives Matter, because in so many times past, there's been all of this, trying to navigate around using that hashtag or using that phrase because of the potential backlash that people would get from the, all lives matter folks who don't understand what the phrase Black Lives Matter means.
You know how I explain this to people?
How's that?
They just left a word off. It's Black Lives Matter too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Black Lives Matter and the other ones don't.
Right.
We know all lives matter, but the real statement is not Black Lives Matter. It's Black Lives also matter.
Yes.
Black lives should matter as much as other lives. And that's the real point of it. So anytime somebody says, well, I believe all lives matter, I always say, well, it's not that they don't. It's Black Lives Matter too. And I don't know if that helps people, but
I think that all of those, there are loads of different little metaphors and things like that that try to explain what this means. And it just boils down to the fact that as it stands, the society seems to try to suggest that Black lives do not matter. And so we need to remind people that they do.
They really do. And that's what's so ironic about this, because in America, we worship Black culture, Black music, Black sports. We idolize Black sports heroes and Black musicians. So why is it so difficult to understand that all Black lives matter? It just seems strange. This is a strange problem we have in this country. It has a little bit to do with our history, I'm sad to say. But good. So I just posted my, and by the way, where did you get a Black picture to post? I just I took a picture of my chest, my heart.
There you go. That works.
And of course, then you have a nice Black picture you can post on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram. The other thing I would suggest is to follow, if you are on these social networks, pepper, if you will, your social accounts, the accounts you follow, with some Black voices. And there's some really marvelous African-American voices on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. People like Baratunde, Lovey. There's lots of them. And there's lists out there you can use. There's lots of ways to do this. But one of the reasons it's easy to think the other, whoever the other is, whoever's not like me, is somehow less, is because we don't experience them. We don't see them in our world. We don't get to know them. And then we can pretend that they're somehow less because they're not like us. So add them to your feed, and you'll pretty quickly realize they're not only just like us, they're pretty good. Black Twitter is about the best Twitter there is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Jack's known that for a while.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for bringing that up, because I was not actually, I didn't post it because I was going to ask you first if it's appropriate. I wasn't sure what to do, so I didn't.
I'm glad you asked, because I'm sure other people wanted to know that as well.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up. What else is in the news?
All right. Apple has released iOS 13.5.1
Yes.
shortly after releasing iOS 13.5.
In a hurry.
And
In a
hurry. And watchOS 6.2.6 with what they call important security updates. I believe there was a jailbreak.
It breaks the jailbreak.
And this breaks the jailbreak. Now, it's been a while since they've had a jailbreak, hasn't it?
Yeah, this was a wild one, too, because it was an easy jailbreak that affected all versions of iOS, including 13.5. And so Apple almost always, when something like that happens, quickly addresses, because a jailbreak requires an exploit, a flaw in the operating system. And we should explain, if for people who don't know, a jailbreak on iOS only means that you can download apps from other places. Then there's a setting for that in Android, just a checkbox. It's potentially dangerous because Apple's very careful to vet everything in the App Store. But there are things Apple won't let you do that Apple doesn't want people to do. So people will sometimes want to get out of that fenced garden. There's a risk. First of all, because the jailbreak does require an exploit, you're kind of breaking the security of your device. And second, if you do start downloading apps from third-party app stores, there's a lot of risk. Those apps are very often malicious. So you really need to know what you're doing if you want to do that. I stopped jailbreaking a long time ago. I used to do it all the time. Well, for instance, when the first iPhone came out, I was working up in Canada, in Toronto, with Amber MacArthur, and she was very excited about this back in 2007. So I bought one and jailbroke it for her and brought it so that she could use it with a carrier, because you could only use it with AT&T. She could use it with a carrier in Canada. Amber's a smart woman, though. She never used it, probably realizing a jailbroken iPhone is a bad idea. But yeah, I stopped jailbreaking. If my attitude is, if you're buying an iPhone, you're buying it because of that walled garden.
Yes, that's how I feel about it.
If you don't like it, get an Android phone, and you can do whatever you want.
You can do all the customizations there that you want
at your own risk.
It just makes me nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
Just being even around one. My youngest brother is sort of in the jailbreaking community, and I'm always kind of like, oh boy,
that's
are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah. Well, there's a certain you feel like you're sticking it to the man, right?
That might be. I think that's definitely an aspect of it, and he's just he's got an even more curious mind than I do, I think, and so it leads to wanting to tinker and mess around and see what you can do.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I wanted to share, 9to5Mac was able to get an early look at Apple News Plus audio. So we had talked about this before, where Apple News was trying to sort of improve upon the Apple News Plus experience. That's that subscription portion of Apple News by adding audio to articles. And so you could, instead of reading those articles, listen to those articles, similar to, a podcast or something like that. And so 9to5Mac has a little first look at the feature. It's in the iOS 13.5.5 beta that was released to developers. And it's hidden currently, but they were able to get it turned on and use it. And it looks a lot like what you would think based on how the Podcasts app works. So the features are very similar to that. Let me
That's interesting.
pull it up here on my iPad. It has play and pause controls that look almost identical to the.
So it's really a podcast.
Back 15 seconds. Yeah. And even the time, the speed up option for 1x, 2x, 3x. So along with reading through an article, you can see there's a little play button here. It's called News Plus Audio, and you hit the play button, and then it will start to play that article instead. So it's unclear, what voices they are hiring to do this and how that's going to work exactly. But I find this fascinating in any case, because this is a whole nother. It's such a big thing to take on to go and say, okay, we're going to add audio to News Plus, but that means we're going to have to find voices to record these. We're going to have to, sit them down in the studio each day. there's a lot that this involves, and I think this is really interesting, and I can't wait to get my hands on it just to hear how they're doing it, and if they've hired a team of people to do the audio each day or what's going on.
Do you think Apple pays well to do that?
Oh, golly. Oh, dear.
I'm just saying. I know they're not real fond of me, but, I have some experience.
Yeah, you've done some voiceover work.
I could do some voiceovers for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we do podcasts. Nobody has to read them. They're already read.
We should hire someone to write our podcasts for us.
That's what we really need. You bet. I actually have always said, in fact, I remember telling podcasters this early on, the more media that you can be in, the better, right? You should have writing and photos and audio and video, all of that. It's a lot of work, and not everybody can do it. I can't, but I think the more ways that you reach out to touch people's brains and hearts, the more successful you'd be.
I agree. I think that's a good point. Yeah. So, Apple, if you need a couple voices, we know a few who can do this. No, I'm curious to see it once it's.
We know a lot of people who've gone to work for Apple. I have a feeling they have a lot. They already have probably everybody they need. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I don't want to disappear.
I wonder if they'll do freelance. Yeah, they do. They disappear, don't they? Mm-hmm. It's like the guys who went to work for Intel. They just disappear.
It's like, what happened to those people?
They're part of a larger life force now.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Part of a bigger entity. They're in the Borg.
Oh no.
Yes.
You will be Apple assimilated.
Assimilated.
Resistance is futile. Join our aluminium.
Should we do some you got more news, or should we do some Q&A?
We should do some Q&A. This is a message for Kate from Michigan, who's written in to talk about settings. Is there any way to lock settings? I do not want Siri. And when an update is installed, some of the settings change, including Siri coming back on, and other settings change. Is there a way to lock settings?
I do not want Siri Sam I am. I do not like it.
Kate, I've got some bad news for you, my dear, sweet individual.
There should be a way to prevent this.
There should be. Yeah. Your settings should be locked. Yeah. What I'll say is this. One of the best ways, so installing an update and having Siri change, that is kind of, I would see that as a way for Apple trying to encourage the use of Siri. And I understand if you don't want that turned on, that is kind of annoying. But there is a way to keep most of your settings should you switch from one phone to another, updating to a new phone or something like that, or even from an iPhone to an iPad. Apple has a great way of using a sort of, what is it? It's a location-based, close proximity kind of pairing that takes place where you bring your phone close to your iPad when it's new to set it up, and it will pull over your settings and you can jump through the steps a little bit easier, or vice versa. If you have an iPhone and you're updating to a new iPhone, then you can use that as well to do the pairing. So in that way, some of those settings can stay the same, but if you're seeing settings change between the two, it's likely because it is Apple kind of encouraging you to try to use Siri. So there's not a way to keep those locked in place other than, I guess, using Apple Configurator would let you do that, it's a Mac app that is really meant for deploying multiple devices in a space, but you could set up the settings there, and then every time you updated your phone, you would redo it with Apple Configurator, and it would lock the settings. But that's so complicated that it's almost not worth it versus just toggling off Siri in the settings app.
Sigh.
This next one, Wayne from Arizona, this is a bit of a tip that I didn't know about, and it goes back to our first part of the show, and I love this. So Wayne from Arizona says, Mikah mentioned locking your iPhone by pressing both the volume up and down and the power button. Mikah mentioned locking your iPhone by pressing both volume up and down and the power button. It's a bit hard to do with one hand. So very true. An easier way is to ask Siri to shut down Face ID. with the phone locked, you say, hey, you know who, whose phone is this? Then Siri will reply, I believe this iPhone
is this?
I believe this iPhone belongs to Leo.
Then what?
And then now you should have to enter your passcode to unlock it.
Okay.
If you go back out, you should have to enter your passcode.
No.
But it didn't work. I wonder if that's a Touch ID thing because I used it with Face ID and it worked for me.
Interesting. Maybe that's just on the newer iPhones. I'm using an iPhone SE, folks, because my 11 Pro Max is in the shop. Although I really like Touch ID in this era of masking.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if that's a Face ID thing then. So yeah.
Lock my iPhone.
I'm not able to do that.
No, see, it says it can't do it. There's probably some good reason Apple won't let it lock.
Yeah. So
turn
definitely
off
try
Touch ID.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay. He's a nice fellow, but he's not very helpful.
There you go. So folks with Face ID, give that a go and just say, hey, boo-boo, whose phone is this? And I apologize to those of you who are using Google devices.
I wonder if this would work.
Triggers
I wonder if this would work on,
on
the iPad, right? So it has to be locked, but that's the problem. As soon as I look at it, it unlocks.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Who owns this phone? What am I supposed to say?
I believe this iPad belongs to Leo.
Okay.
Whose iPad is this? Yeah, it's the
same thing. I believe this iPad belongs to Leo. And now?
Now, in theory, it should be locked.
No.
Why is it not working?
I don't know.
Now I'm wondering if it was a what's the word I'm looking for?
Siri, print me some money.
Fluke.
No, I can't do that either. I keep trying. Hey, what's my Bitcoin password? Oh, it's looking it up.
Oh, good.
Oh, it found it.
Oh, good. I knew it was that password all the time.
I'm not telling Flo.
Monkey 592. Oh boy! All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead to our app caps.
Oh, I'm going to put on my app cap. You are already wearing a cap.
I am, but I'm going to put on my app cap now.
I had to find a black cap, and this is one of the black caps I have. It's an old ZDTV cap. Yours is a little. What are you there, Princess Bear?
It's because I'm tired, Leo. This is my sleep cap. I'm just
that's how you sleep.
Exhausted.
You look exhausted.
Do I look tired? Because I'm tired.
I don't know what you look. Anyway, Mikah. Oh, I want to come over and rub your back for you. Oh, my mom, when I couldn't go to sleep, she would draw letters on my back and send me messages, and it always put me out.
Yeah, I got Sebastian to do that for me.
So, app caps. Why do we wear these? Remind me.
I don't know. I'm tired.
We wear them to celebrate our applications of the week, starting with Weird Fur Hair Man.
Weird Fur Hair Man is my name, and choosing apps is my game.
Yes, sir.
I am talking about an app called, and oh man, this is making me sad. An app called Oh Bother. Now, Oh Bother.
Oh Bother, I love it.
As you can imagine, Oh Bother. It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
But Oh Bother is, I think, a clever little app. If you live with other people, especially roommates, I think this is particularly a situation for roommates. A great app for roommates. It's free to download. You can pay, I think it's $1.99, which is essentially a tip that gives you some theming choices, but really it's free to use. And what it lets you do is say, hey, right now I am unavailable to be bothered. I can't be bothered right now. So for example, I would set my status to unbotherable. And then if I wanted to add context, I would say I would say I'm on a phone call, or I'm on a video call in this case. And look, there are even options for I need silence, I'm super stressed, or I'm taking a nap. So I'll choose I'm on a video call. And then how long it's going to be for the next hour. And then it can also send me a reminder to say, okay, your hour is about time. It's about up. So you will be botherable now. I choose update status, and then that information is set as my status. And then I can choose to share this status with other people. So, for example, and you can see this uses the iCloud sharing feature, which I think is fantastic. You can add people very easily to have them also be part of the sharing. And then they get a link that has your status information. And should they choose to download the app, then they too become part of it and they can update their status. So instead of having to, go and knock on the door and say, hey, can I bother you right now? They can check this app and say, okay, Mike is not to be bothered right now because he's on a call, or Mike is not to be bothered right now because he's really friggin' stressed out, or he's not to be bothered because he's tired, he's got his sleepy cap on, and he's taking a nap. You can update this with as many people as you want to, and then all of those different statuses will appear on this main screen. I just don't have anyone on mine because there's only one other person in this household, and so I can just say to him, hey, I'm taking a nap or what have you. But think about it. I think this is particularly good if you've got a bunch of roommates and you're all looking for a place where you can kind of share a status board instead of having to have a live sign outside of everybody's door or on-air sign outside of everybody's door. This is a great way to say, hey, I'm not botherable right now because I'm sleeping and I don't want you to come into my room.
I'm sleeping right now.
Yeah, so this is Oh Bother, made in Ottawa, Canada, and it's just a simple way to let others know what you're up to. It was created because of the not the lockdowns, but the social distancing measures.
Yeah.
And the guy and his wife were kind of looking for a way to very easily let each other know, because they both are working from home, whether they could be bothered.
That's a good idea, yeah. It's nice to have a way to signal that you need some alone time without insulting, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that I love, because I can remember when I had roommates, they were also happened to be friends of mine from high school. And there was a little bit of I don't want to, it's not that I don't like you. It's just that I need some time to myself.
Right.
And to have a way to do this without having to be like, leave me alone is kind of nice.
I used to just hang a sign around my neck saying go away, but this is a better way, I think.
Now you've got Oh Bother. Yeah. And like I said, free in the App Store. The only thing that you pay for is if you want to basically support the creator of the app, and you can get some custom icons.
You should add a feature that if somebody comes within 6 feet of you, an alarm goes off.
That would be great.
Yeah. Mine's the opposite of Oh Bother. It's Bother Me.
Bother Me?
Bother Me. It's this. Now, this is an app that relies upon the kindness of strangers. Yes. It's called Mayo. Mayo. And I think that if you search for Get Mayo on the App Store, you'll find it. And the whole idea of Mayo is you can request help, but it will only show people within 2 blocks of you. So it's not going to work as well in a rural area or an area where Mayo hasn't been popular. But you can see this is a sample, I need help. And it's something like, can somebody just shovel my walk or go to the store for me? Or can you just get the mail from my mailbox and bring it on my door? It could be something very simple. You can ask, and it expires in 1 hour or if you leave the area. Now, it's not your neighborhood. It's just wherever you are.
Cool.
And it's just asking for a hand. You can also give. You could say, "Hey, I have a lawnmower and I'm not afraid to use it. Anybody need a hand?" That kind of thing.
I can write letters on your back if you're having trouble sleeping.
You know what? That's exactly. I should put that right there, right now.
Please don't.
I can write letters. This is good. On
very good.
your back now. There's a FAQ you should read. You don't have to sign up. There's no membership required, which I kind of really like. There you go. I'm posting an offer, and you can see it's blue compared to green, which is a request. I just think this is really, really cool.
So it requires that other people have the app.
They have to have the app, and they have to be within 2 blocks. And it auto expires in an hour. So it's really like hyper-local I need some help right now kind of a thing. It's an unusual idea. I think I really like it. So nobody offered. So, oh, geez, maybe somebody will.
Oh, God.
Wouldn't that be funny? Then I'd feel bad. If you do help somebody, you get Mayo points. They don't really have anything to do with those yet.
Are you telling me Hellman's isn't the creator of this app?
No, it should be, right?
Yeah, you
could get
to
free mayonnaise.
Redeem it for free
redeem it
jars
for
of
mayonnaise. I think it's mostly just to feel good. They do give you an invite code so you can help spread Mayo. Yeah. And
sandwich spread, I get it.
Yeah, get it. So there are people who hate Mayo, may not like the idea, but heymayo.com. I just like the idea. It's kind of, and they answer some questions. Why don't I just use, Nextdoor or Craigslist? It's not a neighborhood app. I'm right here, right now. And they do talk about safety and so forth. I think this is you know what? This is, you are relying upon the kindness of strangers. I believe people are good. This is an altruistic kindness exchange. And I think unfortunately, it's probably open to abuse, but let's not, okay? Let's not. I think this gives me hope for people. I feel like 99% of everybody wants to help out. We all have hearts and we all want to help other people. And sometimes we're blinded by our prejudices or we don't maybe understand other people. And we're working so that doesn't happen. But in the meantime, help a neighbor out.
Help out.
Yeah. Get Mayo. Or hey Mayo. And if you're in an apartment complex, this would be a good one to kind of spread around the apartment complex, right?
Exactly.
It is just
That's
2
what
blocks.
I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Was even though it's not a neighborhood-based app, if your neighborhood has Nextdoor or something like that, then you could post "Hey Mayo" to the neighborhood and say, "Hey, this is how we're kind of all choosing to ask for help."
And it's only within 2 blocks, so that way you don't get a lot of weirdos or strangers. It's your neighbors. It's people who live around you, and we all need a little help from time to time.
Yeah.
Can you keep an eye out for the UPS delivery? I got a show to do. I don't just, little things.
I like it.
Little things.
I like it. Hey Mayo and oh bother.
Heymayo.com. Oh
2
bother.
free apps.
They're just the opposite. It's funny. We came up with 2 sides of the same coin.
There
Leave
you
me
go.
alone and give me a hand. We both need that. At
times. Yeah.
At times.
You need both.
Yep. Micah, I love you. I want you to feel better. I know that you won't completely feel better until this world is a better place. We can do it, and we just have to all pitch in. And I'm just glad you're in our lives. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you listeners out there as well. If you have questions or feedback you want to send, you can do that at iOS today@twit.tv.
We also do this show live. You can watch us do it live because it's kind of fun to watch us screw up. Micah's net did not drop out, not once.
Yeah, I think it fixed it. I think we
did. You figure out what it was?
I think it was the non-static
IP address.
IP. Now that it's static, we're good. Hopefully, knock on wood again.
That tech guy is pretty amazing.
I know. And that's the thing is that once you said something that no one had said up to that point, and I thought, finally, there's something new I can try.
Oh.
And I felt good about it. And look at that. Internet was great.
I'm going to knock on wood because
yes, me too.
The internet has a mind of its own. Let me just say, if you are watching us or want to watch us live, we do the show Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific. That's noon Eastern. And Leo's gotten better about showing up on time. So we're pretty close to that these days. That would be, 9 + 7 is 1600 UTC. You can see it at twit.tv/live or listen. There's audio and video. If you're doing that, join us in the chat room. Some nice people. Our neighbors are in there. irc.twit.tv. There's good people on both sides in there, if you know what I mean. No, they're really nice. And in fact, I tell people this, and I mean it. There's somebody in the chat room all the time, 24/7, not just during live shows. And if you're feeling lonely, you feel a little blue, maybe you just want somebody to chat to, it's a great place to go. There's not, sometimes it's like a little empty, but consider it your friends, your neighbors, your home away from home. irc.twit.tv. For people who download the shows, we also have a great community at twit.community, a little forum. So you can use that anytime, talk about every show. Every show gets a post there so you can add your comments. We also deliver on-demand versions of the shows, either at our website, twit.tv/iOS, or on YouTube. There's an iOS channel on YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast application, which actually would be my preference.
So helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. That way you've got it. Although I have to say, I was looking at my phone. It said, you're almost out of room. And I went, what? And it turned out I had 64 gigabytes of podcasts. The Pocket Casts I had set it to automatically download in the background. Everything.
Right. Yeah.
Everything.
Oh, no, but you didn't set up the cleanup thing.
I forgot that part. So now I got that.
Pocket Cast has a great cleanup feature.
Use it.
So it only keeps the most recent episode.
Use it. 64 gigs of podcasts. That's a lot of podcasts. But do subscribe. And that way you'll always have something to listen to whenever you're in the mood. Micah, take care. Be well. Stay safe.
Thank you.
And don't leave your house, whatever you do. Because we want to see you next week on iOS Today. Bye-bye.
Check out other shows here on TWiT TV, including my show, Hands-On Photography. On this show, I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your camera, as well as be a better post-processor. So head on over to twit.tv/hop and subscribe now.